So we gather throughout this week, and as we gather on this Good Friday, we walk through Jesus' passion, and we come to Calvary. The soldiers now had charge of Jesus, carry his own cross. He went out of the city to a place called Skull Hill, in Hebrew, Golgotha. As they led him away, they laid hold of Simon of Cyrene, the father of Alexander and Rufus, who was coming in from the country. On him they laid the cross, that he might bear it after Jesus. Following him was a great company of people and of women who bewailed and lamented him. Jesus turned to them and said, "Daughters of Jerusalem, do not weep for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children. The days are surely coming when they will say, 'Blessed are the barren, and the wombs that never bore, and the breasts that never gave suck.' Then they will begin to say to the mountains, 'Fall on us,' and to the hills, 'Cover us.' For if they do these things with the green tree, what will happen when there's a dry one?" There are also two others, criminals, whom they led along to be put to death with Jesus. When they came to the place that's called Golgotha, they gave him wine mingled with gall to drink. But when he tasted it, he would not drink. It was the third hour. And there they crucified him. Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." The two criminals they crucified with him, one on his right and one on his left, with Jesus in the middle. The scripture was then fulfilled, which says, "And he was numbered with the transgressors." When the soldiers had crucified Jesus, they cast lots to divide his clothes and decide which he should take. They made four parts, one for each soldier, and there remained the tunic. This was without seam and woven in one piece from top to bottom. They said to one another, "Let us not tear it, but cast lots for it to decide who shall have it." The scripture was thus fulfilled that said, "They divided my garments among them, cast lots for my clothing." These things the soldiers did, and sitting down, they kept watch over him there. Over his head was put the charge against him. Pilate wrote the notice to be put on the cross. It read, "Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews." This title was read by many Jews, for the place where Jesus was crucified was near to the city and was written in Hebrew, Greek, and Latin. The chief priests of the Jews then said to Pilate, "You should not write the King of the Jews, but this man said, 'I am the King of the Jews.'" Pilate answered, "What I have written, I have written." People stood by watching. Those who passed by derided him, wagging their heads and saying, "Ha! You who would destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself. If you are the Son of God, come down from the cross." So also the chief priests and the scribes and the elders mocked him to one another, saying, "He saved others, but he cannot save himself. Let the Christ, the King of Israel, now come down from the cross, that we may see and believe." He trusts in God. Let God deliver him now, if he wants him. For he said, "I am the Son of God." The soldiers also mocked him, coming to him, offering him wine and saying, "If you are the King of the Jews, save yourself." The thieves also were crucified with him, cast in the same in his teeth. And one of the criminals who hung there with him mocked him, "Are you not the Christ? Save yourself and us." But the other rebuked him, saying, "Do you not fear God, since you are under the same condemnation, and we indeed justly, for we're getting what we deserve. But this man has done nothing wrong. Then he said, Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus said to him, truly I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise. Near to the cross, Jesus stood his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus saw his mother and the disciple whom he loved standing near, he said to his mother, woman, behold your son. Then he said to the disciple, behold your mother. And from that hour, the disciple took her into his own house. About the ninth hour, Jesus cried with a loud voice, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, which means, my God, why have you forsaken me? When some of them that were standing there heard it, they said, he's calling for Elijah. After this, Jesus knew that all things were accomplished. Fulfilling the scriptures, he said, I thirst. There was a jar of wine standing there. One of the men ran to get a sponge, filled it with wine, put it on a reed, held it up to his mouth to give it to him to drink. Others said, wait, see if Elijah will come to save him. When Jesus had received the wine, he cried out with a loud voice, it is finished. Then he said, Father, into your hands I commend my spirit. Having said this, he bowed his head, gave up his spirit. At that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth shook, rocks split, the tombs broke open. The bodies of many holy people who had died were raised to life. They came out of the tombs, and after Jesus' resurrection, they went into the holy city and appeared to many people. When the centurion who stood facing them saw how he died, he said, truly, this man was the Son of God. This is the passion of the Lord.